Holistaplan presents Tax Time with Jeff Levine. Let's talk taxes.
Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of Tax Time with Jeff Levine. Jeff, it's good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. How's everything going?
Everything's going pretty good. Those of you who are regular viewers of this space might notice, again, I am not Roger Pine. I am Ben Birken, the Vice President of Customer Success and Engagement here at Holistaplan, but happy to once again step into the void, fill Roger's shoes, and talk to Jeff about a topic that we're going to touch on a little bit today, but then spend a lot more time in depth next week, since this is going to drop this week. Next week on March 29th, Holistaplan is going to offer a CFP continuing education eligible webinar all about our topic today, which is equity compensation. So Jeff, let's just talk big picture. What is equity compensation and why is it important in the context of tax planning?
Yeah, so effectively, like, if you're going to pay me, how are you going to pay me, right? What are you giving me? And you might give me cash. I like money. Money is good.
Yeah, does things.
Yeah, always a plus. Yeah. But you might pay me in other forms as well. For instance, you might give me ownership in the company, or you might give me the right to purchase ownership in the company at a certain price. And that can be just as enticing, if not more so, if someone believes in the company vision, believes in the company mission, wants to be a part of that company for a long time. It can also be attractive for a lot of startups which don't have a ton of cash, right? So if you're looking at ways to pay people and you're looking around saying like, well, we have no cash, you only really have one thing to offer. That's equity, right? And so it's just a matter of how you go about doing that. You can borrow money to give cash, but what costs more? And ultimately, when you talk about what costs more, it's not just the actual cost in dollars, but in terms of how you're going to attract the capital, or rather the people that you want, et cetera. A lot of times, people who have an entrepreneurial attitude, they are the types of people you want early on in a startup. Or really in any business, right, that's looking to grow. And those types of entrepreneurial spirits often want to feel like they can reap the reward of their efforts, which means that equity compensation can be a strong component of that.
Absolutely. So, and I think the way that we talk about it or think about it is always important to think about these two words, right? Equity, advisors are familiar with equity, right, in the form of stock, but compensation, that's the thing that I think we always need to come back to when we're thinking about taxes, right? How is this going to be taxed? The word compensation is a clue that, this is going to be taxed like your salary is going to be taxed, not all the time, but
right.
That's kind of what it breaks down to, right?
You're paying me with stock instead of, if you pay somebody, you can actually pay somebody really anything, right? Like you could say, here's a car, thank you for your work. The tax treatment of that car to the individual receiving it is ordinary income to the fair market value of the car, because it's effectively as if the company said, well, we could just go out and we could give you the cash, you could go buy the car, or you just give you the car. Right. And so in this particular situation, equity compensation is just that, right? It's in lieu of the cash, we are giving you this equity compensation. And so the default, to your point, is that it's ordinary income. Now, there are some exceptions, which I'm sure you'll cover in depth during your webinar, but that is the starting point from which we must begin.
Yep. And so I think what we wanted to talk about today is really four main areas of equity compensation. Again, high level, we'll get into the details next time or on the webinar itself. But start with the first one, just straight up stock grants, right? And it could be, I'm giving you stock right now, or the more commonly known one in the equity comp world is restricted stock units.
Yep. Effectively, right, restricted stock vesting, right? Effectively, that's what we're talking about when we say restricted stock. And that's to make sure that I don't give you the stock of my company today and you're like, deuces, I'm out of here, like, see you later, thanks for the stock. And so with that in mind, we have individuals who, they're subject to these, let's say 6 month or, at a time vesting schedules oftentimes, or sometimes it's 1 year. Common startup vesting schedule is 4 years with the first tranche being vested immediately after 1 year and then kind of vesting quarterly after that. But every company's different. You could set it up kind of your own rule book. You just gotta, whatever your rule book is, that's the rule book that employees will have to follow. And so you've got to get them to buy into that as well, right? If you set up a ridiculous vesting schedule, no one's going to want it to work there, because they're going to value it very little, because they're going to say the likelihood of me hitting that vesting schedule is so small. So there's a fine line to walk there, but that is in effect how it would work. And if you get the stock right away, right, to your point, like if you're just like, here, we don't have cash, take some stock instead. Well, that is going to be taxable at fair market value when you get it, right? Again, it's in lieu of cash. But let's say you don't vest for a long period of time, right? Let's say, again, when I say long, like, well, really just not right away. So let's talk about 4 years as the mark. Well, over those, until it vests, it's not really yours. So the general rule of thumb is that you will not be taxed on that until it's yours, because of the rules of constructive receipt, right? It's not permanently yours, not set aside for you, et cetera. It is earmarked for you in a sense, but there's a substantial risk of forfeiture. And because of that, you're not going to pay tax until you get it. But that means that however much the stock increases over the time, well, I mean, it's good, right? We want more money, but it also means more taxes.
Right. More money, more problems, I think,
That's
as the
right.
sage just said, right? So that's the easy one. At least to me, that's the easy one. It's very straightforward. It's just the stock. The one that I think at least gets the most play, or at least it used to back when I was coming out of school, because it was all the rage, options, right? And really, we've got two flavors of options as we're thinking about it in the form of equity compensation, right? You got your non-qualified stock options and then your incentive stock options. So again, without going into full detail, let's talk about the first one first, which is, I think, the more commonly, actually, I don't know. I shouldn't say that. It's the one that I think is more common, but I don't really know that for sure. But non-qualified stock options.
Yeah, again, just thinking about, hey, I'd like to give you the right to purchase the company at a specified price. And again, there's lots of flexibility that companies can offer. The non-qualified gives you a hint there that companies can kind of have their own playbook, right? It's kind of like when you have a non-qualified deferred comp plan, it's a lot more flexible than a qualified, let's say, 401k or pension plan. You don't have those same restrictions. And the reason why is because when something is qualified, it usually gets some sort of special tax treatment, right? You're qualifying to get something. That's the qualification there. Well, non-qualified stock options are simply a form of payment that says we will give you the right to buy the company for some specified period of time at X price. Now, hopefully the price is much higher in the company when you go to exercise that option. So just like a regular call, right? You're hoping that it's essentially a call option, right? On the to buy the company at a specified price. You're hoping the company does well. And yes, it means that you will have a significant amount of ordinary income when you exercise that option, but it's always like more money is always good, right? Like it is a good problem to have, very first class problem to have. Like, oh no, my income tax bill is so big because the company did so well. Oh, what was me?
Right.
I mean, in the moment it stings because you have a really high tax bill, but objectively, it's a good problem.
You still have more money after the taxes than you did before the thing.
That's right. It's still more. Yes, more is always good.
Right.
At least in this context, right? So the other one, ISOs, right? Incentive stock options, sometimes referred to as qualified stock options. The incentive or qualification there gives you the hint that there is special treatment. And provided you meet a couple of restrictions or holding periods on the receiving end and the company follows certain amounts, like there's a limit to the amount you can get per year of ISO. So there's kind of company and individual requirements that have to be met, which I know you're going to go into in depth in the webinar. But provided you do that, then what you're able to do is kind of flip some of the tax treatment from being this ordinary income, which is our default, as we said, to being long-term capital gains.
Right. And there's also, and again, out of scope, but there's some AMT issues that you have to worry about with incentive stock options that you don't have to worry about with the non-qualified stock options. So a little trickier, but.
And in fact, one of the few places where we still see people get hit with AMT in today's world, right? Because of the exemption amount and the high income phase out, that came in out of the tax cutting jobs, very few people today have AMT issues. I would say 90+% of the time when I see a return with AMT, it's due to incentive stock options.
Interesting. Yeah. And there's some tricky stuff too that you have to worry about in subsequent years. Again, we'll go into all that detail, but we do have these two options, but the treatment of them, tax treatment of them, very different. And I think when I said easy, when I think about it being easy, it's relative to restricted stock vesting. You can't do anything about the restricted stock. It's going to vest when it vests. Options, you have an element of kind of choice and timing as to when you exercise them. So there's a little bit more thought, I think, that needs to go into how you're going to get the value of those options as opposed to the restricted stock.
Yeah. And of course, depending upon all of this, like if there's vesting schedules associated with it, there are, various tax elections you may be able to make to change the tax treatment of certain. So these are equity compensation, because you're often talking about very large dollar amounts, typically, you can have equity compensation that's available to, let's say, the masses, something like an employee stock purchase program. But a lot of times the big equity, programs are for your executives, et cetera. And so they're big dollar amounts. There tend to be your larger clients, et cetera. So the cost of being wrong or the benefit of doing right, good tax planning is kind of magnified because of the dollars involved.
Absolutely. Now you mentioned one that's going to be kind of our fourth, I was going to call it a four-legged stool, but I'm pretty sure that's just a chair. But our fourth element of equity compensation is that employee stock purchase plan, right?
That's
so
right.
It can be a really nice, powerful benefit for companies that offer it. So just want to share a little bit. Again, each one's going to be different, but just broadly speaking, what does this mean?
Many times this is an ability to purchase into the price of the stock, or purchase stock at a discount relative to what the fair market value is. And that could be up to like a 15% discount. This is a great option for people, even if you forget the tax treatment, right? If you can buy something at 15 cents off or 15% off and turn around and kind of sell it immediately, that's a win.
Huge.
Right? Yes,
free money.
Right. It's as close to free money as you will get in this world.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this is one of those situations where I would say, but again, that discount, general rule, ordinary income. However, as I'm sure you'll be getting into in the webinar, provided you meet some holding periods, et cetera, from let's say from the date you purchase the stock, et cetera, from the date of grant, like there are ways to turn at least some of that into capital, long-term capital gains, which is an effective way of dealing with income, right? If I can't make income go away, the next best thing is kind of to wave the magic wand and go poof, your capital gains, instead of ordinary income, because the difference in tax rate can be so significant, right? In some cases, it's not huge, right? Let's say someone in the 22% tax bracket has, a 15% long-term capital gains rate, which is like, okay. I mean, look, that's good, right? You're still getting about a third off, if you will, which I'll take that. But someone in the 35% tax bracket is also paying a 15% rate, which means you're cutting their tax rate in less than half by making a move like that, right? So it's a powerful move. At the end of the day, when we're looking at equity compensation, we're looking at what are you able to, what are you entitled to? Mm-hmm. Is it free in the sense that, it is your work and time in there, but will it cost you money in order to get that, right? So exercising an option, for instance, is going to cost you money. Is it, what is the cash flow impact to you personally? And then how is that going to be taxed? And then what is the timing of that? And we can, in some ways, again, depending upon the type of plan, et cetera, we get the ability to kind of turn dials here, right? To change the tax treatment of this by timing things. We get to choose when we exercise options, which may impact cash flow, but may also impact the taxation of future growth beyond that, and the growth that, like, there's lots of different dials that we can do, and kind of like a pinball machine. Once you set off or almost like a Rube Goldberg machine, I should say, like that's probably a better analogy, right? Like once you start it, like everything else is going to follow afterwards, right? The Rube Goldberg machine being one of those things where you start the marble, you push the marble, and by the end, like, 16 things later, I don't know, it makes
Sets
pizza
the
for you
dominoes
overnight.
off, and the little mousetrap thing comes down and starts your car in the garage.
It just
all that
goes,
stuff.
right?
Yeah,
like after that, the thing is just in motion. And that's the same way with these things. So it's really important to plan in advance, to not wait to the last minute. This is one of those things where you really want to pre-plan. In fact, so much so that even before someone accepts a job with equity compensation, you want to be having those discussions, because a good equity compensation package with decent tax treatment associated with it might make a lower salary a much better deal, right? Like you might end up taking a lower salary because of the equity comp benefits in certain situations. So really important to plan that out. Great things to think about. And although I will not be able to join you for the webinar next week, I am excited to watch it on replay because I know I will learn a ton from you as well, Ben.
Well, I don't know about that, but we'll see what we can do. In the meantime, though, Jeff, thank you so much for joining us for this particular episode of Tax Time with Jeff Levine. The sign up for the CE eligible webinar that Holistic Plan is going to be putting out. Again, this is next Tuesday, so March 29th at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you're a Holistic Plan subscriber, you should already see this on your dashboard when you next log into Holistic Plan, so you can register there. If you're not, or if you just want to follow the Holistic Plan Twitter feed or LinkedIn feed, we will be putting out the announcements with the registration links on that as well. So until then, Jeff, again, thanks for your time. Always fun talking to you, and look forward to doing it again soon.
Me too, man.
All right, take care.